I just want to throw it out there straight away. It's just one of those little anomalies that don't make a hell of a lot of sense.
But that's what the deep drop's about, mate. Don't feel like you need to justify it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Deep Drop, the fishing podcast that has a slightly different view on recreational fishing. My name's Luke McCredden. With me, Adam Ring. Ads. I'll just try to keep it simple tonight. Did I get? I don't know. I'm my biggest critic because when I listen back, I go, nah, I should have said this, should have said that. But ultimately, I just hand over to you. Tell me, what the fuck is the Deep Drop all about, mate?
Luke, we're willing to ask the questions that no one else is. We're willing to acknowledge the points of fishing that no one else will acknowledge. And we cover everything. Everything from what's suitable to wear, to etiquette when standing on a casting deck, to etiquette going to the toilet on a boat, to actually some current issues that may or may not be happening in our wonderful world of fishing, and also some potential new events that aren't happening and should be. We're pioneers. We ask lots of questions. We talk a lot of shit. And every now and then we say something that's a little bit intelligent and it surprises the crap out of everyone, including ourselves. And it's exactly what the Deep Drop's all about.
I had someone say to me recently, Luke, I've never heard any other format in the media landscape talk about some of the things that you and Adam talk about. And I said, thank you. That's all I needed to hear. Yeah. Where was the last time or last magazine or TV show where someone asked when the last time you saw a squid eat a prawn?
These are the hard-hitting questions, Luke. What should you do if you take out a mate in a boat and he crowds the casting deck?
What should you do? Even throwing right back ads. Remember photo etiquette? That came up. Someone raised that with me the other day, and I said, it took me back because I think that was like in the first few episodes, to be honest. We're up in the 70s now, but like photo etiquette, like, put the durry down.
No one knows how big a fish is until it's lying next to a stubby. And it's one of those things. It's kind of a rite of passage and tradition. Do we still need to do it? Hell yes, we do.
Yes.
So that's kind of where it's where we're at.
Hey, we have a bit of fun with it, and most importantly, you guys join us for the ride. And we get some great messages and feedback. Ads. Instagram is where we get a lot of messages from people when sharing their thoughts and having a bit of fun with us. It's what it's all about. That's why we do it. We hear some cracking stories from people out there. And actually, Adam, I wanted to kick off the show tonight because, and this is a bit of a throwback to a few weeks ago, but as we know, not everyone's got the time to keep up to date with all our episodes as we drop them. We're punching a few out now. So quite often, people will sort of go back or start at the start or wherever. So wherever you are in the Deep Drop journey, good on you. Bloody good on you. Anyway.
And don't let that stop you from asking questions.
No,
Just
exactly.
get amongst it. Doesn't matter where you're at.
Well, this one's more of a response to something we were talking about. It's a bit of a story, so I thought I'd just share it. It came through as an audio clip. I love audio clips, ads. So keep them coming. From a good friend of ours, John Cahill. I know you caught up with John recently at an event.
I saw him recently. Yep.
But we were talking a few weeks back about unusual cool shit. And as anglers, we see some of the coolest shit in the world. And I'm being quite serious. We see the best stuff. So whether it's I said to him the other day when we were chatting, I remember I was in New Zealand once and saw a sunfish launching out of the water, like porpoising out of the water. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that face is exactly,
nice.
Apparently it's not that uncommon. I thought it was weird. But anyway, there's all sorts of unusual stuff we saw. So I digress. John left us a message and I thought, you know what? Let's play it. You ready? Let's hear it.
Play it.
Hey, Luke, how you going, bud? I'm just listening to episode 72, that thing about crazy shit you've seen. Off Port Fairy a few years ago, me and a mate caught a mako that looked well over 200 kilos, big fish. But about 80 minutes into the fight, two little seals turned up to the boat while we were fighting the mako. and the fish's behaviour like just really got erratic and completely changed, and it lost all focus on being fought, and it actually fucked up and killed the two seals and actually ate one of them. True story.
How's that?
That's insane.
Like, isn't that nuts?
Hang on.
Firstly, thank
fish
you,
was
John.
hooked.
Firstly, thank you, John, for sharing
Yeah,
that. 'cause
John,
I
sorry.
love this shit. This is nuts. So the fish is hooked. So big mako. And by the way, 200 kilos of mako shark is a big fucking fish.
Oh, and 80 minutes into a fight. They'd been fighting it for a while. It's not like it hadn't worked out it was hooked yet.
So it's probably tired at this point. Like, you know, when I say that, I don't know. We don't know. But it's gone through a big effort in a fight in for a long period of time. But then just goes, food. And just goes to this. There's actually a lot of angles I wanted to take this, because there's a few layers to what John sent us, which I love. Firstly, is that mako shark effort. So it's gone, fuck it, I'm still hungry. I am born with a brain that just wants to kill fucking everything. The other layer I wanted to raise is, what the fuck are the seals doing?
Luke, this is exactly where my brain went, because the way I'm picturing it in my head is two. Now, John said they were young seals or small seals, right? So I would relate them to these teenage dickheads that you see rolling around thinking they know what's up.
Oh, eshays?
Yeah. Let's roll with eshays. So these two eshay seals roll up.
Yeah.
And they can see the mako. I won't say struggling, because I don't think a mako ever struggles until it has a gaff and a tail rope.
Yeah.
And even then
they still
have a crack.
Yeah.
I reckon these seals, eshays if you will, have rolled up going,
esheels.
Check this knob out. And I reckon they've started badgering said struggling mako.
Yeah.
And mako's gone, I'm never struggling too much to fuck you up. And that's exactly what happened.
It's insane.
That's where my mind went.
Yeah. Like the seals were being arrogant, thought, he's hooked, he's not going to do anything to us. And the mako's gone,
taking
mate.
the piss.
The mako's gone, mate, it's a little hook in the side of your mouth. Like, there's no amount of drag pressure on this reel that old mate's got in the boat that's going to stop me from eating you.
I'm entertaining the angler for shits and gigs. Yeah. I can just bite this bad boy off and leave whenever I want.
And not just fucked one seal up, fucked both of them up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So
which one is the dumber seal? The one that got annihilated first? Or is the one that decided that after watching his mate get smashed, it was still a good idea to hang around?
I reckon he's gone into shock. He's just seen his mate swallowed whole and just went, oh, Jesus. And then before he knew it, gone. I don't know. There's no question, no answers to the stupidity of what those seals were doing. But for John and his mate that were fishing, that's pretty epic to witness.
Well, John, I need you to get back in touch. Privately, sweet, but for the podcast, even better.
Mm-hmm.
Did the mako continue to get caught?
Yeah,
or amongst all of the commotion?
It trailed
got
off. It trailed off, at the end of that message. They caught it and, landed it. With a bit of seal seasoning.
What the fuck?
Incredible.
That's insane.
It is. It's pretty nuts. It's very nuts. So that's the sort of stuff that we just love. We're not seals getting butchered, but just like just the stories from you guys, because we've heard a whole range of things from when we're talking about the gear and developing lures and all that, right up to these stories which we've heard from a few people, and this is what it's all about. So please don't hesitate if you feel like you got something to share, even if it's about nothing we've spoken about and you just want to give us something. Just do it,
Yeah.
because there's just nothing that we won't listen to. And like I said, if there's a bit of a story element to it, like, we'll chuck it on, because it's worth chatting about. So thank you, John, and thank you everyone for getting in touch. But gee whiz,
That's what are the chances of that? How many?
that's rare.
How many anglers out there listening have ever experienced catching something that's decided to pause the fight to eat something else just to resume the fight afterwards? I've never encountered it. I've never even been close.
It's like a UFC fighter stopping mid-fight for a cheeky whopper at the bar, smashes a burger down, then goes back out and punches the shit out of his opponent.
And just continues to go about his business. Like,
it's incredible. There would be some more epic stories like that, no doubt. I always find the things that are, not that this was this situation, but when you've hooked something and something else eats it. Now, I'm not talking about a seal grabbing your fish or a shark grabbing, but like, there's heaps of cool stories about, catching a cod and a bigger cod comes and eats it both sides. Flatties do the same.
Yep.
They're the stuff I reckon we could get some cool stories out of people on that sort of thing. So
Has that ever happened to you?
I've had, I know I've had, and it's not as cool, but like fishing bait grounds to catch live bait, which would then turn into go out live baiting for kingfish, but have the kingfish show up on the bait ground. So you're bringing in a string of live baits, and you get a pack attack of kingies
Catching
come
kings
and
off
just
the
rail you.
beakies.
Yeah, they just rip everything to bits because you can't stop 4 kingies that have just eaten your live baits. But I don't think I've had. I certainly haven't had like a cod eating a cod or a flatty eating a flatty.
No.
But there's definitely situations where that stuff happens. I've
The
seen
closest.
a marlin eat a kingfish.
That's
like
cool.
A hooked up kingy. Yeah.
That's cool. We've both witnessed one together that's probably as close as what I can think, is when a cheeky leather jacket decided to munch on a squid.
Yeah.
And then we were so fascinated that we left the squid in the water to see what would happen, and then put a camera down to see if we could get some underwater footage of it, because it was awesome. And the leathery went psychotic and started trying to chew the hand lanyard. Yeah, the lanyard on the camera, and then started having a crack at the lens.
It full went me.
That's pretty cool.
Squid
Because normally it's a squid eating something else.
I was going to say squid get their sort of have their way on other things like whiting or a flathead or a small whiting. If you're catching whiting and every now and then it gets a bit of dead weight, whiting's been eaten. Having said that, squid also attack each other. You'll be hooked up to a squid and another one comes and just starts biting into it. They're weird.
They are weird. And those devil spawn arrows I don't even want to touch them.
No. They should be on the dangerous species list.
The no-go zone.
Do you reckon if a leather jacket, because what would you say is the biggest leathery that we've seen or that's kicking around? Like, it's not there's no giant leather jacket, are there, really?
No, not particularly. I wonder, that's a good question. I wonder in weight what the heaviest leather jacket would be.
Because they turn into just big fucking round.
Because you do see some. Every now and then you see people catch them on jigs just by accident. There's some decent ones, but not. Yeah. Not ridiculous.
I'm just curious as to what a really big one looks like and what damage it could do.
Yeah, like if you're hooked up to a king and a leather jacket starts chewing,
and it would only be one bite. Like it'd just be chomp. It's in half. They're these big beasts.
Imagine they got that big.
Don't actually. I don't want them to.
Yeah.
I've got enough problems with things chomping. Like, all that in winter you're out there jigging or something and the cooter come through and just swipe your swivels and
anything that shines or creates a bubble trail is gone.
Yeah, you lose squid jigs, you lose everything. Anyway. Gee whiz, what a hot weekend we've just had. Now I know people will be listening to this at all different times of the year, but what are we, sort of early March, and we've just been slammed by 3 high 30, 40 degree days in a row.
Yeah, a couple of
warm,
nights. Overnight temperatures of like 26.
Yeah.
23, a couple of uncomfortable nights.
I went out for a little fish early on the other morning, just before it really heated up. I just threw the kayak in and just planned to be out for like an hour or two, try and dong a couple of squid and be home before it gets too gnarly. And it was really tough. Like I got a few squid, small, nothing crazy, couldn't really find them. And I was curious as to the area of Port Phillip Bay that I was in. It's sort of 2-3 meters deep for a wide expanse of the water of the bay. And I'm wondering whether this is probably on this would have been the third day of that really hot streak. Do you reckon that sort of temperature in that shallow water can really fuck with the fish, the habitat, what they're feeding on? Because it was a bit dead, the area. Like don't get me wrong, there was heaps of bait fish, or heaps of little sort of finger-sized bait fish getting around, but there wasn't much else happening. And talking to a couple of locals back at the ramp who were chasing whiting were struggling. Now this is not speaking on behalf of everyone. I'm sure there were plenty of fish getting caught, but in that shallow part of the bay where it's shallow for a big area, it's got to have an effect. You reckon?
I wonder what's actually having the effect, because I didn't fish but was down at the beach early on the middle of the 3 days. We took the kids down early to try and have a bit of fun before it got too hot.
Yeah.
And so we'd had a full day before of that mid to high 30s. It was warm overnight. The water was still quite cool. So I think once the sun's out, no cloud cover, and you've just got that sun baking the shallows, it would probably make a little bit of a difference. But I wonder if the fishing was hard on, say, a 3-day span of those warm temperatures because of a high pressure system sitting over us. I wonder if it's more of a barometric thing. I've got no idea what the barometer is doing
I didn't look at the barometer
within those 3 days. But it's hard to think that, sun being so gnarly that, because it is different. When it's mid-30s, the sun feels different to when it's mid-20s. I wonder to what depth it does have a difference, because the water that we were in at max was up to our waist, and it never felt
warm.
It was nice. It was what the bay temperature would have been. It didn't feel like there was much, but we were out. We were out in the morning before the sun got properly going. Yeah. We left about 11 when the sun was peaking.
Well, my mind also went to whether or not it actually plays a part on impacting like the seagrass, for example. Whether or not it's the water temp directly, or like, the area I was in there's huge areas of seagrass and sand patches and seagrass. I'm just wondering whether that gets a bit of a beating and that has an effect on things. I don't know. Well, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not trying to make an excuse as to why I didn't smash a heap of squid. But if it is a reason, I'll hang my hat on that.
Well, it's fascinating because I've often thought about it, say in places like Western Port, where some of it on a low tide dries out to nothing. It's literally, there's no water on it. I wonder if a 40-degree day, the sun can heat the exposed bottom, whether it be sand or mud. I wonder how much heat that ground retains for when the tide comes back in. Does it get instantly cooled and regulated to the temperature of the water, or can it be enough in the early parts of the tide or the early parts of the water pushing up onto those grounds that have been hit by the sun for a full low tide period? I wonder if it can hold a little bit of extra temperature, and if it does, for how long, and if that can be used to your advantage or disadvantage depending on time of year. Because I couldn't see it making a huge difference. I couldn't see that you're in a meter of water and you've got a 2 or a 3 degree difference. I could be wrong. I honestly don't know.
No. Interesting thought. Curious as to if anyone else has any thoughts on it. Let us know what you reckon. But, because typically or traditionally, it's minimal change that the sun does. And if anything, it'll be, top surface type stuff. But realistically, it's more about the currents that are moving around, particularly when we talk about offshore. But there's no doubt that...
It's weird, though, because I remember years and years and years ago now talking to Lee about this, Lee Rayner, and he was saying for kingfish in particular, you get a 40-degree day offshore, just like kings are going to go nuts. So again, I wonder if it's a barometer thing or if just that tiny little bit of heat can be enough to bring bait up. I don't really know. There's got to be something.
Yeah,
something
one of the things that I noticed the other day, because with that heat, it was quite windy. I don't know about where you are at the moment, Ads, but down my way, it was pretty windy throughout that whole time. And I noticed that just everywhere you look, little bait fish milling around on the top, and I'm wondering whether they're sort of eating little bits of shit that's flown into the water with bits of dust and whatever.
Well, I guess we rarely push those really high temperatures without some sort of screaming northerly or something like that. So it makes sense. But it wasn't the last 3 days that we're talking about. It was windy, but it wasn't that chaotic, crazy winds that we have seen.
True.
I mean, if you wanted to fish, there were some pockets to do it.
Oh, definitely.
The mornings were quite calm, and
mornings were good, particularly offshore. Lots of people got offshore and got amongst some tuna and stuff, which was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting thought. Funny, actually, speaking of John, I know he put a report on Instagram and had an absolute blinder of a session on one of the mornings, just as many tuna as you want, all on top water, and then the following morning, nothing, which is just a testament to tuna, isn't it? It's just a bizarre fishery sometimes.
Well, it's not a bad segue into something that I've been thinking about, and it's got nothing to do with anything. I just want to throw it out there straight away. It's just one of those little anomalies that don't make a hell of a lot of sense.
But that's what the deep drop's about, mate. Let's hear it. Let's have it.
Well,
don't feel like you need to justify it.
You just let me know if it's dumb.
Okay. Yeah, but again, that's what the deep drop is.
Because if it is, I'll be pumped.
Oh, okay, sweet.
All right, so I've been thinking about this top water casting thing, and more specifically the gear that everyone's doing it with. And this is what doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
When you start in the finesse game, everything's about light spin gear, correct?
Yes.
Because bait cast, I don't know, there's some BFS stuff going on. We may or may not talk about that in the future.
May not.
Chances are we probably won't. But there's a tiny little thing. Ignore it for now.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, light spin.
Mm-hmm.
But then as you get into your maybe bigger bass lures to barramundi, Murray cod, anything where you're casting something heavier, it's 100 times more efficient to switch over to a bait caster.
Mm-hmm.
Lines coming on direct over the top of the rod. It doesn't have to spin around the arbor of a spin reel. It's coming on direct. So you can control the weight of the lure 100 times better than what you can with spin.
Yep.
They're generally more accurate. I do believe, though, that comes with the experience of using a bait caster because it's a hell of a lot different to using a spin reel. But if you're trying to put a gold bomber, for example, but in a tiny little gap in the tea tree to pull out a couple of barra, it's going to be easier to do it with a bait caster and that size of lure than it is with spin. But once you move into the heaviest form of casting, we go back to spin. Why?
Yeah, that's a great call.
So you get into the guys casting poppers at tuna as they are now, or even the GT guys, the blue water kingfish guys, bigger lures I'm talking, heavy. Yet we go back to spin gear. Why?
Yeah. Having said that,
why is there not a big fuck off heavy duty bait caster?
Yeah, but can I just maybe throw a spanner in the works here by saying I would argue that some of the swim baits getting thrown around for Murray cod are heavier than a lot of the poppers and stick baits getting chucked around for tuna at the moment.
And it's Yeah, no, but it's all done with a bait
Bait
cast.
cast. No, that's what. So I'm with you. I'm sort of
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is realistically, the question is, why isn't anyone using? So there probably is the gear, or is there?
But
I
is
mean,
there?
is there?
But is there?
Yeah.
Because so I was trying to think of why aren't we? So I thought, okay, well, it's distance, getting distance out of spin.
Yeah. Because accuracy is not a thing. Accuracy is
No,
not
it's
not
not
doesn't
really a
come
thing.
into it.
But not necessarily. If theoretically, with a properly tuned overhead or bait cast that's designed for casting, the distance should be more efficient to get. Go back to the old surf casting days where it was all done with Abu 7000s. They
true.
outcasted spin. So I thought, okay, that's not the answer. It must come down to drag pressure. Typically speaking, you can put more pressure through a spin reel than you can an overhead. But then I thought, all right, but then our biggest form of fishing, game fishing, is predominantly done through overhead.
So overhead.
So I'm like, fuck. So I think what I've settled on, no one, and I'm talking real manufacturer, no one has come up with the perfect combination between castability and drag pressure in order to accomplish it. But why?
And what a fascinating thing that is fairly straightforward, but I don't reckon the way you've laid that out is mind-blowing.
Because we've had overheads that cast really well over the years. We've been through Trinidad DC, which typically a jigging reel being a Trinidad got the DC casting chip to cast. Because what the hell would you need a chip to drop vertical? You don't.
Yeah, no.
But it never took off. You've had maybe the European big musky reels in the 500 size tranks could cast the shit out of a big lure, but had shit ass drag pressure.
Yeah, because they kind of came in, didn't they, as that blue water. When they first hit the market here in Australia, they were in the US used for mahi
and pike and
shit like that as well.
But,
the blue water thing, they were doing it.
But it never took off. The rods are a piece of piss. It's easy. You have a reel to put on it. It's very easy to make a rod to do that. We've got them. These 7'10" to 8.5 foot popping rods are using at the moment. Turn them upside down, put some smaller guides on them. It'll work.
Yeah.
You might have to muck around with tapers and all that sort of shit. But it's easy.
Because we had a conversation. We had a conversation recently on the show about what's more important, rod or reel. In this situation, it's the reel. We need to find out what's out there and why haven't we done it? Because the rod, to your point, the rods are done. We just need to flip them around and put the cast guides.
The rods you can work out. So if you and I, Luke, if we
are we going into product development right now?
If we were developing an overhead, to cast blue water lures out, would you go low profile?
Well, let's think about first. Let's think about first what we need out of it. All right.
Yeah.
So we need line capacity because quite often you're losing a fair strip of line in the first run if it's a decent tuner.
Yeah.
Fair call.
Which overheads have got line capacity clocked anyway.
But baitcast doesn't. So it's got to. This is where I'm sort of going. There's got to be a middle ground. So yes, overhead, correct. Tick.
So overhead, not low profile.
Well, I think
I agree with you. I think it's got to be the higher profile.
It's got to be a higher profile, but it's about something you're going to cast all day. So you don't want something big and clunky.
So it needs to be narrow.
Narrow body.
Yep. Because if it's wide, it's going to want to roll on you. To be too heavy, it'd be a pain in the ass. So it needs to be narrow.
And
are we going lever drag or star drag?
I'm going star drag.
Me too. Why?
And this, I don't know if this is the right reason for it or not, but because it's at my fingertips.
and you need to be able to adjust it on the
and
fly,
I can
which is
adjust
hard to
it
do.
on the run. I don't have
That's
to
right.
stop and look. I can literally do the adjusting while I'm fishing.
Yes, I agree. So I think it needs to be star drag.
Yep.
Drag should be piece of piss. We've had jigging overheads in the past. I've got high drag pressure. So
Yeah.
but we've never seen a star drag with crazy pressure.
So we need to start thinking about a drag system for a star drag build.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, the people can do it. We can do this. We have the technology. And then, I mean, power handle, no brainer.
Yeah, no
Get
brainer.
that bad boy on there.
Yeah, I think a paddle handle's not going to cut it.
No,
it's got to be.
No.
Yeah, it's got to be decent.
The thing is, we're almost talking about a Tranks in a lot of the descriptions, aren't we?
Yeah, so we need or
was that it wasn't full low profile, was it? Oh,
it was, yeah.
It was.
It was a low pro. I'm thinking we need a Talica that can cast.
A telecast.
A telecast.
Shit.
Or something in that vein, because or take a Trinidad that's got balls.
Yeah, so we're talking about. No, let's think about the Talica again for a sec, because with the body's kind of right, isn't it? In a lot of ways, not low profile, still narrow body, got the drag.
Mm-hmm. We probably need to convert to a star drag to give us a little bit more freedom on tweakage.
Could you put up with lever drag? Given that, and this is just to talk about the drag for a minute. Given that, when you think about it, the drag system, or where you adjust it on a spin reel, couldn't be more annoying and out of the way. It's got nothing to do with one hand sort of just doing it while you're fishing. You have to physically stop, reach around, and you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
but you're always in total control of min or max. On a lever drag, realistically, you're constrained to what you set at strike drag, because you can't touch that cam on the fly. So if you fuck up the pressure at strike, you're either going to go to sunset and go way too much, and that curve between the button and full sunset, that drag curve's real steep.
Yeah.
But then everything below it, again, if you haven't got enough, you're essentially just you're in a free fall to free spool, which would be a fucking disaster. Can you imagine 30 kilos of GT and you accidentally hit free spool?
Do you know, I was just thinking, when you think about being in a fight situation with it, whether it's GT or tuna or kingfish or something, you're every chance to knock that out of gear.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine the chaos of that. You just go,
you'd have overrun, your line would be...
You just drop the whole thing and go, this whole combo is written off.
Yeah. Warranty.
So I think having the constant control of a star drag would be important in that situation.
I like it. So we're talking about...
How does it not exist?
Well, the other part of it is, would people use it?
Well,
Are we at a point now? Are we in a generation now where spin outfits are just easier? Less can go wrong. I don't know if less can go wrong. Actually, that's probably not the.
But again, then why isn't it happening in the cod market or the barra market? And I guess the key difference is accuracy. You don't necessarily need pinpoint accuracy out in the blue water when you're just hurling a popper out towards a reef or a break or something. Whereas I guess in that cod and barra type thing, accuracy can be the difference between a fish and no fish. So there's that.
And on the flip side, on the heavier end with game fishing, obviously, the big overheads will always rule, but there is a fair swing towards spin these days. Not so much marlin, although there is an option with some of the bigger, 20,000 size spin reels. But when it comes to tuna and stuff, you see a lot of people using spin now.
So 2 questions to throw out to the punters, Luke. Write this down because you're the
heaps.
social media man.
There's heaps, but go.
So the first one is, does this overhead...
I'm just having a sip. I need a sip.
Yeah. You're in deep thought here.
When was the last time you had a Canadian club, by the way? It's a good drop.
Dry or cold?
And dry.
Dry, yeah.
Dry.
We
Not a
nearly
fucking
couldn't.
idiot.
We nearly couldn't be friends.
Don't be ridiculous.
Yes.
Anyway.
Good. Okay. So cola or dry? First question. No. So first question is: does this overhead exist? And I just don't know about it because I really want to see. Is anyone taking their lever drag Talica and trying to chuck poppers with it? I want to know if it's legit or not made for it. The other thing,
hell, mate. How do you? What do you want me to write? You just.
Oh yeah, shit. Too wordy again.
No, I think it's what we're trying to find out is if that sort of reel exists. But I think we
or
I don't think it doesn't.
overhead popping reel ?
Okay.
I don't know if everyone will get it, but we'll see where it goes. So the other one, I have had a few answers over the years from random anglers.
Yeah. How good's a random angler?
Random angler. Catching a big fish on a spin reel. Shit or not. Because I've spoken to people that have caught 100-kilo bluefin on spin reels and have said, fuck that, I'll never do it again.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people that catch 100-kilo bluefin on anything say, fuck that, I'll never do it again.
Fair.
Fish of a lifetime, but once and once. Nah. Why? What's the main reason?
It's so uncomfortably hard to get line back on the reel with that much weight on the other end because it's got to come through the rod and over the actual arbor of the reel. It's just not efficient. You get that. It's like I've never caught anything insanely big on spin. I've never caught anything insanely spin on overhead. But I think of trying to do it on spin as like trying to wind a half-decent snapper in, to me, with my right hand because I wind left-handed. So it's kind of all fucking weird, and you're almost at times with a lot of pressure on the end, you're trying to move the reel around your hand rather than wind the handle.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So there's that.
But then on the flip side, and I'm not trying to manipulate your question, but
no, this is good.
If you take, because I know that the barra and cod thing, bait casters are it's not a long fight. Let's be honest. Like realistically, for the most part, even a half decent snapper on a bait cast outfit's awkward as fuck.
That's true.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I reckon
that's true.
I reckon where we've landed,
it's because you got that shit little cramped. The handle so fucking close to the body. It's just again, maybe with a power handle.
Power handle. That would probably make a big difference, to be honest. Because you're right, that's what it is. It's the little,
Yeah. How was it? Because it's perfect. That's exactly what it is.
So
you just can't get the line back on the reel quick enough.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's an interesting one. For this reel that we're creating, what's the gear ratio? Low or high? So typically speaking, low ratio, 5.6 is about the lowest. So for those new to the gear ratio game, that means for every one full rotation of the handle, the spool is spinning 5.5 times essentially.
Yep.
Then to some of the quicker ones, you're pushing 8 to 1, 8.5 to 1. What would we need for our blue water reel?
I kind of I go straight to low.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't know. I don't know. No, I don't know. I'm trying to, because it's a weird one because you don't. Actually,
I'm thinking high, but only for one reason, and I don't know, through not doing a large amount of this sort of fishing, even with spin, I don't know if it's on the right path or not. But generally, with those big blue water poppers, you're operating with really long sweeps of the rod.
Yeah.
A high ratio would allow you to get back in contact with the reel after that long motion, would get that slack line back on the reel quickly so that you're in. But it's kind of counterintuitive, because if you hook a big fish, if you get a big GT that turns on its side with a high gear ratio, that can be almost impossibly hard to get any line back on the reel at all.
That's what I'm sort of thinking more once connected with fish, but you went to the actual working of lure, which is actually a really good point.
So
but at the same time, I don't know whether.
So do we need a 2-speed star drag casting reel?
Oh, Jesus. Yes, is the answer to that.
Correct.
Well,
correct.
I mean, a 2-speed star drag cast reel.
Because the 2-speed function, generally speaking, and please someone correct me if I'm wrong, because I may well be. 2-speed on a game reel generally only comes in handy when you've got a big fish that's either using the current to its advantage, straight up and down, say a big tuna sitting on its side, or the marlin's just resting in a current break that might be 30, 40 meters down. All you need to do is to get it to lift its head, a couple of millimeters.
Yeah.
So you slip it into low, so you can just an eighth of a turn is at least getting a little bit of a revolution on the spool to at least just get it to lift its head, break its pattern, back into high speed, get the fish to the boat. That's not bad. That can be a viable situation popping.
True. My head just goes to marlin and big yellowfin tuna when I think 2-speed. I just don't think it's something we fuck around with really here on the bluefin.
No, we don't. Nah, not on bluefin.
Nor do we need to. So I don't know. I mean, hey, let's get them working on it and we'll see what they come up with.
Yeah. So I'm thinking 2-speed.
All right, let's do 2-speed.
But I wonder if 2-speed fucks with castability. Too much going on.
Maybe. Does it have to be DigiGear?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. This is high end.
We're not fucking around.
No, we're sitting at
specialty gear. This.
Yeah, it's $1,000 reel.
Minimum.
But what an experience! I wonder I wonder whether after a day out doing this, you're in a better, like what it's like a full day out casting all day, whether it's stick baits, whatever. You're pretty knackered by the end of the day. I wonder whether this reel option might just be a bit more comfortable to spend a day using, or
maybe
no difference. I'm just thinking it's a bit more.
You definitely save your casting finger. That's for sure. Your spin reel trying to.
You'll need a thumb glove. You'll need a glove on your thumb.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
So you're allowing gloves all of a sudden? I mean, we felt pretty strongly about this over the.
Yeah, but we did make an exception for jiggy.
We did, and GT popping.
Yeah, and in this case, I think the reel's so cool. It's pretty hard to shit it up, if that makes sense.
I think the reel comes with specialist gloves, like in the box.
Ooh, I like it.
Yep. Yeah, and you can have them embroidered at no extra charge with your name or your boat name.
So what are we going?
Funny slogan.
So what are we doing colour scheme wise? Are we going out there rockstar overhead reel, or are we going classy and subtle?
This has got nothing. This is nothing against current market. We're not going gold.
Yeah, no, I'm down with that.
Okay. I've got nothing against gold. It's just this is a standalone setup.
So we going.
I mean, my head wants me to go add a splash of deep drop green, but it's probably not commercially viable.
Now it comes spooled with fluoro green line.
And the gloves are green.
Yeah. So does that mean we need to go full blackout with the reel?
Oh, can you imagine?
That'd be sexy as shit.
A metallic black. Yep. I think you've
Spool and everything. Spool and
everything.
Yep, and
Everything.
you know how we've seen black reels before. They've got a gold highlight or is it just black?
Everything. What a good looking reel. In my head, it looks unbelievable.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter what braid you put on it. By the way, it's going to look good.
Yeah.
So whether you want to, I don't think you should if it's a casting reel, but if you want multicolored, whatever.
Yeah, you don't.
If you go at no, you don't need to.
It'll look sexier with a straight color. I reckon.
Straight color, yeah. Oh, I like it. Well, there's been plenty of product development on this show.
Hey, it's, every great creation starts with an idea, Luke, and
I love it.
We've got the ideas.
Hey, just one thing before we wrap up tonight on reels, because thank you, by the way. This has been magnificent. I'm going to think about this reel for some time. We might have to put it to an international manufacturer to come up with something. Bait runners. Have they sort of dropped off the face of the earth? Now,
yeah, I think so.
When I ask that, I ask it with an answer in mind already. No, they haven't, because they're still around. But the popularity of them for what they were famous for has gone away a bit. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you and I sort of, and you well before me as well, but lived through that. Every snapper, I won't say every, but fairly high percentage of snapper anglers had bait runners.
Yep.
How many of those anglers used them? I mean, used the bait runner function.
I think more were using it back when, because we had an idea of when the appropriate time to use it was. But I think we learned, and I don't even know why we learnt it, because typically in Victoria we're pretty good at staying stuck in our ways. It was so much more efficient to get a good hook up just leaving the reel in gear.
Yeah.
And we learnt it, which is kind of weird because we'll push back on a lot of that stuff, us snapper fishermen in Victoria.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, there's nothing more exciting than the bait runner, like a reel just screaming off.
Yeah.
To the point where I'd be willing to sacrifice a hookup or two.
What, like when it's engaged or disengaged?
So like putting bait runner on, because we've both done it. Had crazy sessions. We've caught snapper, and we'll fish them out of gear so that there's no bait runner function. And then we've caught a few, and we're like, let's put bait runners on.
Bait runner,
and we'll just
bait runners,
flick them on,
because it's more or less free spooling.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
And
free spooling with a clicker.
Then you just do a sort of a cheeky knock, and you just knock it into gear, and then loads up. But I don't know. I just don't. And forgive me if you're out there listening and you use bait runners for. And look, we talk about snapper fishing, but I know a lot of people up the coast will do it for things like dewies or whatever, live baiting. Kingfish. And it's actually a really, really practical and functional thing. Bit of technology for reels. I just wonder whether
do you know what else killed the bait runner?
Yeah,
the popularity of circle hooks.
Well, that's the other thing. That's the other part of it. So there's things that have come along that have kind of made them, I don't want to say redundant, but
redundant.
But there's still, look, I've got no doubt that the major reel manufacturers churn through bait runners like no tomorrow. In fact, I know they do.
Yeah.
But do you know that I've still got a couple of bait runner bees?
Ooh, collector's items. Hold on to them.
Seriously?
Silver spool, gold spool.
Gold. Oh, great question. Gold, I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
3500s.
Ooh, Port Phillip special.
Port Phillip special.
I like
Didn't need anything bigger than that.
Nope.
Anyway, so that was, I just curious about that one. I'd be really interested to know, and I might actually. That's probably another question. Ads bait runners,
Definitely.
who's using them?
But not just a bait runner reel. Who's using the bait runner feature?
Yeah, I'm writing this down. This is real time. People are going, why are there pauses in this show? Luke's writing again. I could just listen back and then make notes, but no.
We're proving that there's no pre-planning to this show. It's just what happens.
God, I think we proved that about 50 episodes ago. I reckon, because the beauty of this, and again, if you are new on board, this is where the best stuff happens, when we go and ask on Instagram the opinions and thoughts, because I can't wait for this one. I think that we'll get quite a few people talking about bait runners and what they do and what they're using them for and how they're using them, and then probably some that will say used to swear by them but haven't used one in 10 years, or you know what I mean? Interesting one. But anyway, man, I don't know if we need to go on much further, Ads. We have just developed. Can I go as far as saying invented a new reel? Has it ever been? Well, there's probably been versions of.
Let's just wait and see if the punters can. Yeah.
Get behind. So, a 2-speed star drag cast reel, overhead bait cast, whatever you want to call it. And if anyone's, I don't reckon there's anyone using overhead for popping, for casting now, blue water, stick baits, poppers, anything. I just don't reckon there'd be anyone.
Yep, I agree. And it's a shame, Luke.
But what are they using? Because our reel hasn't been developed yet.
It's,
If you had to do it right now, like, what would you go towards more of an overhead? So, or would you try and pick out a big bait cast, low profile?
No, I'll probably go an overhead. I think you're just going to get completely annihilated. You think of even a 500 Tranks, I think you're just going to get smoked.
Is there anyone out there that's, the temptation is there to take out a light baitcast outfit and just to see?
I'm sure.
Remember we did that on the Snapper once. We took out those kids combos and they basically got pulled into the water.
Just tighten the drag up.
They were the ones that lit up when you're.
Oh, it's big time.
But yeah, I mean, that's just a waste of. It's just fun. It's just fun to think about. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, overhead popping reels. Get behind the development of the two. What are we calling it? We've got to come up with that. Maybe that's something we can leave the name to the.
I've had a thought on
punters.
the paint.
It's black.
Yeah, but what if we use that stealth black? You know that black that's it's so black that you can't tell the contours on it. It looks like a coming soon ad. It's just a silhouette.
It's just a silhouette.
But that's the real. That's stealth black paint.
Stealth black paint. That's the real.
That's the color code, stealth black.
That's the color code. That's the Pantone color, stealth black. Okay.
We need a name. We need a sweet name.
Yeah. All right.
Put it to the punters. Put it to the people, Luke.
Give us the name of what this reel. Now, if you've sat through this, you've heard all the detail about this reel so far. Go back through and listen again if you need to refine. But this is a high end reel.
Yep. It's stealth black.
Look, I said $1,000 reel, but I'm going to say this.
Money's not an option. Just put on it what needs to be put on it.
Yeah. I'm just thinking it. It hits the market. It starts at sort of $7.99, $8.99 price point.
Yeah, I like it. You can get a good reel for that.
Yeah.
Stealth black, high profile, 2-speed, star drag, casting orientated.
Yeah.
Power handle.
Clicker
or no clicker.
I mean, is it a functionality thing, or is it just to brag to your mates when you hook up just so they can hear it?
I'm going to say no clicker, but it must make sound when drag's been pulled off the reel.
Okay, but just not an obnoxious, loud.
No, just sexy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm on.
Like, and the
sound,
same.
It's just got to
for
say
when you
I'm
cast. Got to have that that sweet, sweet sound when you bang out a cast.
on. Not a clicker sound though when you cast. That's
No. That's shit.
Yeah.
A real smooth sort of, yeah.
And just
I think no clicker, because the other thing with clicker is it adds a thing to the body.
Yeah.
Let's keep it smooth where we can.
And do we go solely for fuck you factor? We've got the kill switch on it. Hit the button and the spool just stops.
Oh, wow!
It's called the fuck you button.
The fuck you button. Okay, yep. Let's add it. Why not? Now we're talking about blue water casting. So what are we sort of expecting as far as line capacity?
It doesn't need to be crazy.
Yeah.
Think about it now. The spin reels are only holding 300 to 400 because lines are getting better too. They're getting thinner.
Which is plenty.
Heaps.
Yeah.
But it is an overhead. If you could get a comfortable 400 of PE8.
Oh, shitloads.
Yeah.
Are we doing
more than enough?
Are we doing multiple sizes?
No, I don't reckon we need it.
No. 'Cause I'm just thinking, like, if you're running 400 of PE8, shit.
Yeah.
You're never going to need any more than that.
You could if someone just wanted a sexy stealth black light inshore. We could maybe do something. So we've got, say, a 400 meters of PE8. If we did a 300 of PE5.
4, yeah, yep. I reckon.
I love it.
Now I'm thinking about the rod, but we got to go. Let's talk about the rod next week.
100, lock it in. We'll actually, write that down. We're doing the rod next week because there's some funky shit we could do with the rod too.
Can we come up with a name before now and next week, please, people? So let's hit us up on Instagram. We need a name for this bad boy.
Yeah,
and then we're going to talk about the rod.
We've given you the specs.
And if we missed something, by the way,
additions.
I rate your ability, Adam, to talk about product and the ins and outs of what we need in a reel.
Oh no, hit me with some additions.
You might have missed something. I'm just saying.
We haven't spoken about the shape of the handle knob. You know what I mean? We haven't spoken. Yeah, that's probably getting.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Ball.
Yeah, ball.
Yeah, ball.
Yeah. Aluminium or
nah. I'm going. Oh. Nah, see, I was going.
No, it's high end. You get one of each in the box.
Done. Thank you very much.
Love it.
Yep, love it. Okay, good. Sold. I'll take 2. Thanks.
Yeah.
Right, this has been the deep drop. This has been the product development podcast. Fishing. I don't know where we can go with this. We should just.
No, we wait for the people to have their say, and then
you're right.
Then we elaborate. We sign off on the final product, and we develop a rod. That's what's happening.
Jesus Christ. Get amongst it, everyone. Instagram's a place to do it. Thank you very much for joining us on the Deep Drop. I'm Luke. He's Adam. Let's get out of here.